Okay, so we're going to look at Act 3 of Macbeth today. So we've seen kind of Act 1 and Act 2, where Macbeth and Lady Macbeth are starting to establish their relationship. The murder of Duncan has now occurred, so now we're dealing with the immediate aftermath of Duncan's death and the kind of ramifications as they go on through Act 3. And Act 3, Scene 1 is a kind of scene where Banquo is starting to be suspicious of Macbeth's behaviour. Bear in mind, of course, that Banquo was present when the prophecy was given to Macbeth and Banquo from the witches, so he has seen and heard firsthand that Macbeth is going to benefit. He's going to be King Cawdor and Glamis, and he's seen this prophecy come true, and he's now starting to wonder if there's something not quite right here. Thou playedst most foully for it. He suspects Macbeth, but of course he can never publicly speak openly about Macbeth, because it would be treason. Macbeth is perhaps the wrong king. You know, he shouldn't be king, but he is king and he has that power. And obviously you can't accuse the king of murder and what he's done for this. Hush no more. Banquo is kind of silenced there as well. And there's this scene here where Macbeth and Banquo kind of meet and they talk, and they don't trust each other anymore. That kind of closeness of their relationship at the start is now gone. Banquo can't trust Macbeth, he has to hush no more. And they speak very, very briefly to each other in sentences, short sentences here, not perhaps the closeness of the good friends that they were. Macbeth finds out where Banquo is, and then he starts to kind of try him out with this idea, our bloody cousins are bestowed in England and Ireland. So Macbeth is still peddling the line that Malcolm and Donalbain, the king's children, have kind of had some part to play in this. And then Macbeth delivers a soliloquy, so Banquo goes off to hunt with Fleance. To be thus is nothing but to be safely thus. This idea, he fears Banquo, his royalty of nature. He's a good man, but his children also, Banquo has been told his children will be kings. So this idea, his royalty of nature, not only that he's a good person, but also his children will be a threat to him. And also that this idea that Banquo chid the sisters, he rejected what the witches had to say. The other thing here that plagues Macbeth, a theme that comes throughout Macbeth, is this idea of children. Fleance poses more of a threat to Macbeth because Banquo's children will be king, including the real-life Banquo's descendant James I, who was king at the time Macbeth was written. And of course, this is the key reason Shakespeare writes this play. It's all a homage. It's all to pay tribute to King James. But here, prophet-like, they hailed him father to a line of kings. Upon my head they placed a fruitless crown and put a barren sceptre in my gripe. So Macbeth realises that first of all he'll have to kill Banquo, but secondly, what he is going to do when he murders Duncan, because he has no children to pass the throne onto, as Duncan did to Malcolm, and as the children of Banquo will do according to the witches, everything he's done is for them, to Banquo's children, the seeds of Banquo. He realises his own impotence here in this scene. He has no children, and by the end of the play he has no children to succeed him. And obviously, everything he does, he realises his days are over. Even relatively early on in the play here, all he can do is murder and deal with Banquo in that way. And he can't pass anything on here. So he arranges for the murderers to kill Banquo. He tests out the murderers, the type of people, the worst rank of manhood. This is what he wants. He wants the most evil people to murder his best friend and to also murder an innocent child. And there's a kind of a bit of a plot here, a bit of a smear campaign against Banquo to get them to kill. And they go on and kill. We resolve, my lords, they go and commit the murder. It's concluded, Banquo, thy soul's flight, if it find heaven, must find it out tonight. Basically, Banquo's days are very much numbered. And this idea of nighttime comes back to haunt Macbeth later on as his sleep is kind of taken from him as well. Nighttime becomes no comfort. Act 3, Scene 2 is quite a key scene in the relationship between Macbeth and Lady Macbeth. It's one of the most important scenes of the play. To my knowledge, I don't think it's come up on a GCSE exam, but it would be a good one to come up here. Lady Macbeth is uneasy because for the first time in the play, her husband is now taken the law into his own hands. He's arranged for the murderers to kill Banquo and Fleance, and she knows nothing about this. She fears that her husband is going back into his old traits of being a coward, not killing the king. But actually it's a different thing that poisons Macbeth. We have scorched the snake, not killed it. By killing Duncan, by Malcolm and Donalbain fleeing, there's still a massive long list of people, this snake, this almost human snake, the idea, the long line of people to come after Macbeth, the long line of people in the throne, because it's not just Macbeth and Duncan and Banquo in this play. There's Macduff, there's Lennox, there's all the other thanes there. There's the entire population of Scotland who are watching and wondering what's going on here. And there's lots and lots of people there who pose a threat to Macbeth. This idea, he has a fear of Fleance as well. He fears the idea that Fleance could take power. So it's not enough for him to have killed Duncan. That's just scorching the snake, landing a blow on the snake there, chopping it. You've not killed it, you've just cut it a little bit. So he needs to go back to keep power, to arrange Banquo's execution, but also to think about all the other people who pose a threat. They are merely in fear and sleep in the affliction of these terrible dreams that shake us nightly. This idea, he's tortured by this, to the point that he then, on this, further into the act, "Oh, full of scorpions is my mind, dear wife," a superb quotation to use. There's so much you can pick out from this quotation. Full of scorpions is my mind. Now, the scorpions could be metaphorical of all sorts of different things. Is it the evil required to contemplate and commit repeated murder, including the murder of the king, regicide, including the murder of Fleance, a child? Future murders include the murder of Macduff's innocent wife and children. That requires you to have an almost unfathomable level of evil. Macbeth is responsible for the deaths of handful of people in this play, and obviously in wider society, in wider Scotland, many more people would die as a result of his evil acts. Is it the guilt? Is it the guilt finally sinking in that he's murdered Duncan? Or the responsibility of having Duncan, the king, murdered, his best friend murdered? Is it the weight of kingship on one who shouldn't be king? He shouldn't be there. He has murdered to seize power, but he shouldn't actually be there. Is it the darkness of his own soul? He's just an evil person. Is it the idea of what the witches have done? They've planted this scorpion in his mind. Scorpions are dangerous as well, of course. He must let the scorpion win if you're fighting against it. He must give in to his dark thoughts and let them win. And certainly he does as the play goes on. And even his dear wife, this is almost said in anger with her as well. You must leave this. "Oh, full of scorpions is my mind, dear wife." He dismisses her now. So the evil, the murdering ministers that she appealed to now have no power on him because he has a mind full of scorpions here. And interesting, a scorpion, when threatened, will kill itself with its sting if it's in extreme danger and knows it's going to die. This idea of the suicidal thoughts or the honourable death that comes across, that's presented to him later in Act 5, the idea he could fall on his sword and live and save himself in some way in the afterlife, doesn't appeal to him here. So it's a grotesque image, but it's a great one for those layers of meaning there. What's to be done? "Be innocent of the knowledge, dearest Chuck, till thou applaud the deed." So this is the key quotation for their turning point in their relationship. He has reached a level of evil she will be proud of. Dearest Chuck, chicken, love, sweetheart. Don't you worry about it, sweetheart. You'll clap about what I've done later on. Be innocent of the knowledge. I'm not going to tell you what's happening. She's anything but innocent, of course. There's an interrogative here. Remember earlier on in Act 1 and 2, she'd ask interrogatives to command things from Macbeth. But now she's not in control. What's to be done? She doesn't know what's going to happen. And this dearest Chuck is patronising Lady Macbeth, like dear wife here. The emptiness of their relationship, because his mind is now full of these scorpions. The evil thoughts have taken over. He's arranged for his best friend and a child, an innocent child, to be murdered. And this is almost too shocking even for her, this bloody and invisible hand. This idea that other people must kill for him to take power. So he is a coward as well. But also this idea that, look, his wife is now no longer of use to him. She gave him the metaphorical fuel to kill Duncan, but now, look, dearest Chuck, you take a back seat because I'm going to take control of this now. Till thou applaud the deed. She would be proud of the murder of Banquo and Fleance as well, of course. So this Act 3, Scene 2 is a key scene in their relationship because it marks the change from Lady Macbeth being more powerful to now Macbeth taking control. He now references the supernatural, like Lady Macbeth has done in Act 1, Scene 5. The Crow and the Rookie Wood, Night's Black's agents, the murdering ministers that Lady Macbeth mentions, showing the secretive and dark nature of his character there as well. And Act 3, Scene 3 is quite a short scene. It's a deliberate device by Shakespeare here, because obviously the murderers approach Banquo and Fleance. They try and kill Banquo and Fleance. They kill Banquo, but Fleance survives. Now, obviously, Fleance is still a child at this point, alone in the middle of the woods here. But this idea that we know that Banquo's children will take power in the future. So we've got this sense of dramatic tension. While Fleance lives, so the murderers attempt to kill them, they kill Banquo, they see the lights. Banquo is murdered, he's attacked, and he dies. But Fleance escapes. The fact that Fleance escapes provides dramatic tension for the rest of the play, because we know that Banquo's children, and here is one who is still alive, poses a threat to Macbeth. Now, admittedly, Fleance is a little bird, fly, 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 compared to the crow and the rook, these kind of darker, stronger, more evil birds. And imagery of birds is used a lot throughout Macbeth. And the raven that we've seen in Act 3, Scene 2, shows that Fleance has little chance of escape. And obviously, by the end of Macbeth, we don't actually know what happens to Fleance. But we know that as long as he is alive somewhere, albeit alone in the woods or rescued by somebody, his life provides a threat to Macbeth here. And so as we go through into Act 3, Scene 4, Banquo is murdered. The murderers realise Act 3, Scene 3, they've lost the best half of our affair. They're going to be paid less because Fleance is still alive, but they realise the best half, Fleance, is the one really, because yes, Banquo might pose a threat, but Macbeth could probably kill him, whereas Fleance being still alive, he could have children, his children could have children, and they, somewhere down the line, will take the throne from Macbeth and take the throne of Scotland. Of course they will, because remember the whole point of Macbeth is to pay homage to James I. Banquo has children, there is a real life Banquo, his descendants, his great-great-great-great-grandchildren, his great-grandchild is James I. Great, but you get the feeling 100 years down the line. And so Act 3, Scene 4, Macbeth and his wife welcome guests at their state banquet. So Macbeth is king now. Banquo is dead. Fleance has escaped. Duncan is dead. Malcolm and Donalbain have gone. So what Macbeth does, he does what any monarch does. They have a coronation. We had one for King Charles recently. This idea, they have a banquet to celebrate Macbeth's coronation. So all the thanes, all the lords and ladies gather round, and Macbeth is going to talk to them. They have a feast to celebrate him becoming king. They sit in their ranks, and there's an empty seat somewhere they find. Obviously, there's blood upon the murderers appear. Bear in mind, obviously, it's a king's coronation, so the murderers appear at the moment Macbeth is trying to, addressing the entire nobility of Scotland. And there's a murderer appearing with blood upon his face. 'Tis Banquo's then. So Banquo is dead. They're talking about Fleance being escaped. But the moment Fleance is escaped, Macbeth has a fit. There comes my fit again. I had else been perfect, but I am cabined, cribbed, confined, bound in to saucy doubts and fears. So Fleance being alive, this is the moment where Macbeth has to present to the thanes, the nobility of Scotland, that he is a legitimate ruler. And here, his mental state is already being drawn into question in Act 3, Scene 4. He is cabined, cribbed, confined, bound into saucy doubts and fears. His mind is troubled by the fact that Fleance is still alive. They're the grown serpent lives. Banquo is the grown serpent, the worm, that's Fleance that's fled, hath nature that in time will venom breed, no teeth at present. So Macbeth acknowledges that he doesn't really need to worry about Fleance now because he's a child. So, Fleance will cause him a problem down the line here. So he puts this to the back of his mind. My royal lord, you do not give the cheer. So he's not behaving in a normal way in front of all these people. He's supposed to raise a cheer. And so Macbeth here, he starts to give the cheer to all the people there. And as he's doing this, the ghost of Banquo appears. Now, the ghost of Banquo is an interesting character. He could represent a lot of different things. It could be a fabrication from the witches to toy with Macbeth. Obviously, when people say they see ghosts, assuming that Macbeth doesn't actually see ghosts, it could be an embodiment of his revenge or guilt. People often see things or dream about things, don't they, when they're kind of reflecting on their guilt. It could be his moral conscience or something from God to challenge Macbeth's power. It's presented as gory and horrific. So Macbeth is at the moment his maximum hubris here. He is, kind of showing off how much of a great king he is to all the lords and ladies of Scotland. And he's saying, here now we had our countries on a roof, were the graced person of our Banquo present, who I may rather challenge for unkindness than pity for mischance. He's making a joke about Banquo. He's kind of saying, look, Banquo should be here, shouldn't he? Our challenge is for his unkindness, being a bit rude by not showing up, than pitying him for his mischance. He is openly mocking Banquo here to the people. God, he should be here. He knows that Banquo is dead because he's just been told Banquo is dead by the murderer. Sure, Banquo should be here, shouldn't he? Where is he, eh? Oh, typical Banquo. And Macbeth looks around and says the table's full. So he sees the ghost but doesn't recognise it at first. And Lennox, one of the thanes, here is a place reserved, sir. Where? Here, my good lord. What is it that moves your highness? And this is the moment, which of you have done this? He sees Banquo's ghost. So after mocking the death of Banquo, he now sees Banquo's ghost and he loses his composure. And bear in mind, he still needs these other lords for political power and control. Later on, he goes to visit the witches who tell him he will be killed. He can't be killed by anyone born of woman. They effectively give him the idea that he might be invincible. But at this point, to be a legitimate ruler, like any, kingdom, he needs the support of the other people there. So if the lords and ladies, if Lennox or Ross or all the other thanes of Scotland look at this, Macbeth is crazy, or he's behaving in a very, very strange way here, they will start to challenge that. And they'll also start to question potentially other events that have happened earlier on in the play, such as the mysterious or not so mysterious disappearance of Duncan and the murder of Duncan at Macbeth's castle, with Macbeth now benefiting from this. And of course, some of the characters in the play have already started to do this. Banquo, who is now dead. Macduff, who is not at the coronation as well. Never shake thy gory locks at me. So this horrific entrance. And there's no one clear entry and exit by the ghost. It constantly taunts Macbeth by reappearing, so he composes himself. Ross, gentlemen, rise, his highness is not well. And Lady Macbeth, trying to play this down here, challenges his masculinity. Are you a man? Challenges his masculinity again, as she has done. A return to power. But also she can't see the ghost and she doesn't know about the plot to kill Banquo. So she challenges Macbeth's masculinity. Oh, he's been a coward again like he was at the start. I knew this was going to happen. But Macbeth responds confidently and throws the challenge back in her face. Aye, and a bold one that dare look on that which might appall the devil. The irony being that Lady Macbeth is not appalled. This is the very painting of your fear, the air-drawn dagger which led you to Duncan. Impostors to true fear, a woman's story, shame itself. So Lady Macbeth continues to assault his masculinity. She attacks him here as well, in front of all the thanes. When all's done, you look but on a stool. And challenges the ghost. What quite unmanned in folly. Again, continuing to attack his masculinity. But the problem is, unlike Act 1, Scene 7, where Macbeth had been weak, Macbeth is now strong. And what Macbeth is trying to communicate to his wife, she can't understand. The time had been that when the brains were out, the man would die and there an end. But now they rise again with 20 mortal murders on their crown and bushes from her stools. This is more strange. So what Macbeth says here is, look, you don't understand what I'm seeing. I've seen this ghost here. He's horrified by his actions through the ghost. 20 mortal murders on their crown. The murders, the wounds and the gashes on their head that was mentioned earlier on in the scene. What's happened to Banquo. This idea that he can now come back to life. And this undead Banquo could continue to come back throughout his life to threaten him, to haunt him. And whether this Banquo represents his guilt or his conscience, it has a clearly profound effect on Macbeth, to the point that Macbeth says, look, you can accuse me of being unmanned, but you don't have to deal with this. You don't have to deal with the psychological consequences of mass murder that Macbeth has committed at this point. And Lady Macbeth has no response to this now. My worthy lord, your noble friends do lack you. They're wondering what's going on here. To which Macbeth pretends to be okay. The ghost has presumably disappeared at this point. Do not worry, come, cheers. So of course, to undermine him, the ghost reappears. To undermine his false confidence. And then he sees the ghost again. Avaunt and quit my sight, let earth hide thee. Thy bones are marrowless, thy blood is cold. Thou hast no speculation. And Lady Macbeth challenge. Think of this, good peers. Come on now. It's just a thing of custom. It's just a funny thing that he does at parties. It's just a bit of a joke he has. And he aggressively challenges the ghost here. Perhaps aware of his wife's threat about being unmanned. What man dare? I dare. Approach thou like the rugged Russian bear, the armed rhinoceros, or the Hicran tiger. Take any shape but that, my firm nerves shall never tremble. If you look like nothing but Banquo, I'll fight you. I'll show you what a man I am. Or be alive again and dare me to the desert with thy sword. Or let's, come back to life and I'll fight you again. We'll have a duel. I'll give you the chance to get justice. If trembling I inhabit, then protest me the baby of a girl. And so the Banquo's ghosts go. And is perhaps Lady Macbeth true to call him unmanly here? Is his hamartia, his fatal flaw, a lack of responsibility or masculine responsibility for his actions here? I'll fight you, but also I'll cower as well in fear. And then, being gone, the ghost gone, I am a man again, pray you sit still. But by this stage it's too late. You've displaced the mirth, broke good the meeting with the most admired disorder. And so at this point, Macbeth realises now, everyone starts to he's sat there in the middle of this dinner party, everyone's gathered round, wondering what's going on. And he says to his wife, I think you can behold such sights and keep the natural ruby of your cheeks when mine is blanched with fear. How can you behave as if nothing's wrong? When I am blanched with fear, I am afraid. So at this point, she's still herself able to distance herself from the murders and what's gone on. And Ross asks, what sights, my lord? What such sights that you've seen? So Ross overhears this. And at this point, they get everyone out there. And all the lords and attendants go. So remember, this is coronation. King Charles had a coronation recently, and the coronation ends in everyone being ushered out quickly. They're probably kind of in the middle of eating their food and drink, and come on, just go. Macbeth has kind of shouted and talked about gory locks. Everything he said publicly in front of all these lords there, so they know that something clearly isn't right. And then Macbeth and Lady Macbeth are left. It will have blood, they say. Blood will have blood. This idea, I am in blood, has stepped so far that I should wade no more. Returning were as tedious as go o'er. Basically, he needs to kill more to keep power. It's not enough for him to kill Banquo. It's not enough for him to kill Duncan. It's not enough for him to attempt to kill Fleance. He needs to kill more people because ultimately, now after this party, after this coronation, everyone will doubt him. They'll wonder what is going on here. He's killed many, but he needs to kill more. And also, once you've started killing those people, once you've committed mass murder, the law or justice is always going to be chasing you here, so you can't go back there. We are but young indeed. Act 3, Scene 5 is a short scene then, kind of cutting into the witches, with Hecate, who is seen as the kind of the goddess in charge of the witches, almost like the boss of the witches, but she's a goddess as well, Hecate. And she's angry with the witches for trading and trafficking with Macbeth in riddles and affairs of death. She's angry with the fact that they have dealt with Macbeth already without her knowledge. This scene is not Shakespeare's work, and it's obviously mentioned here. It's debated as to whether it's Shakespeare's or not. It could still come up as part of the play, but essentially Hecate is angry with the witches. They have acted outside their powers in the same way Macbeth has in the mortal world, and she is angry with this. But unlike Duncan, she very firmly puts the witches back into their place and says, look, this is what we are going to do with Macbeth. And all you know, security is mortal's chiefest enemy. So basically, what we want you to do is lull Macbeth into a false sense of security, make him believe he's physically strong, but his deepest enemy is himself, and lead him to death. So the next time you see Macbeth, because there will be a next time, and it's coming up very, very soon in Act 4, look, I want you to mislead him, make him feel that sense of security, and then lead him to do the rest. He is his deepest enemy. And this is hamartia. One of his many hamartiae, I suppose. This idea that he has that faith in the supernatural above all else. We see this in Act 4. Oh, God, I've seen Banquo's ghost. Right, well, that ghost is taunting me, so I'll go and see the witches again and see what they say about the ghost and see if I'm safe. Act 3, Scene 6, then. The purpose of Act 3, Scene 6 is multifaceted, really. One of the roles this plays is to kind of remind the audience what's going on in the play, very similar to Act 2, Scene 4. So we've got Lennox and an unnamed lord, and they're meeting somewhere to kind of just talk about what's going on. And what's very interesting is they're talking about the threats. Men must not walk too late. How monstrous it was for Malcolm and for Donalbain to kill their gracious father. How it did grieve Macbeth in pious rage. And when he murders the two delinquents, was that not nobly done? Aye, and wisely too, for 'twould have angered any heart alive to hear the men deny it. What's happening is Lennox is doing what's called equivocating here. He is speaking in doublespeak. He is afraid. Lennox has been at the coronation. He's seen what's gone on, and he's realised, hold on a minute, there's something not quite right about Macbeth. Macbeth, isn't it funny how Duncan was murdered, but he was pitied at Macbeth, and Banquo's dead now, and Macbeth murdered those two people, the two guards of Duncan, instantly, despite the fact that they could have actually said what actually happened. So he murdered them before they could talk. So Lennox, this is the first sign that Macbeth's empire is starting to crumble, because he is questioning this, but he's doing it in such a way that he's actually talking it about a speech that would make Macbeth seem like a great ruler. And this is interesting, because ultimately he's got to equivocate. He can't say it's treason. Macbeth is a tyrannical ruler. He murdered the king, who thought favourably of him. He murdered Banquo. He would more than happily murder Lennox like that. He's not afraid to commit murder. So Lennox is saying, he's a great ruler, he's a great ruler. But in doing so, he's a great ruler. He's done it nobly and wisely. So he's starting to question Macbeth's power by, at the same time, through the words used, praise Macbeth for being a good ruler. Equivocation, doublespeak, basically. He's afraid to speak out against evil ruler, so he kind of resorts to sarcasm of Macbeth. And they talk about the Lord, this idea that Malcolm has gone down to England, he's valued by the English ruler. Bear in mind, of course, the English ruler would have been James I at the time of the play, so any chance to say that the King of England, whether that's historically, fictionally, or currently, is a good thing would be good. And obviously this idea of the potential revenge on Macduff. Macduff wasn't there. An absolute persona, the cloudy messenger turns me his back and hums each day all the time that clogs me this answer. So basically, Macduff refused to go to Macbeth's coronation, so we know something's going to happen to Macduff. And Lennox is basically saying, while all this is going on, while Macbeth is becoming more and more tyrannical, Scotland is suffering, because he's only concerned about himself and his own power. The people of Scotland are suffering, and they need some holy angel to fly to England and bring a swift blessing and basically religiously cure Scotland from the suffering under the evil Macbeth. And obviously this person is Macduff, who starts to appear in Act 4. So Act 3, we've seen the change in relationship between Macbeth and Lady Macbeth. We've seen Macbeth's empire start to crumble, and he's being publicly questioned by his subjects. And this is going to continue as the play progresses into Act 4 and Act 5.